The state-of-the-art Sepang circuit is just south of the capital, Kuala Lumpur. The drivers fry in the cockpits as they hope the engines will last for the longest race on the calendar, close to 193 miles. Hello there, welcome to the paddock. You want to know the feeling before the off? Apprehension on three fronts. First, the durability of those engines. Secondly, the searing heat. And third, the tyres. Would a single set go the full Grand Prix on a boiling, abrasive surface? Who's going to follow the flying Fisichella's example in Australia?
The 2005 Formula One World Championship is go!
That's going to end up in contact because Heinz was never going to slow the car down. Michael Schumacher is out of the Grand Prix.
He crosses the line now. Giancarlo Fisichella wins the Australian Grand Prix.
Fisichella bounced back to earth with a sizable off during Saturday morning's practice. He recovered well to end up third in qualifying one behind his Renault teammate Fernando Alonso and Jarno Trulli in the impressive Toyota. In qualifying two to decide the grid on race day morning, Britain's Anthony Davidson, replacing the feverish Takuma Sato in the VAR, is neat, quick and tidy. The team appreciating his efforts.
Well, Anthony, you proved to everybody last year in Friday sessions that you're quick, but racing is a different matter, isn't it? This is very important for you.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into turn one to show them all wrong. You know, I'm really looking forward to the race. I've got some pretty good guys directly ahead of me, i.e. Michael. So no, it's going to be interesting, but you know, I'm up for it. I'm ready.
Michael Schumacher's woes continue. The new Ferrari can't arrive quickly enough for him. There's no rear grip in the heat on a single lap. Michael Schumacher starts 13th. David Coulthard benefits immediately. It's a sweet lap and takes his Red Bull past both Ferraris on the grid and into the top 10. Teammate Cleon is even quicker. Jenson Button's short of running time and suffering from oversteer. He falls away late in the lap. He can't match those Red Bulls. Jenson Button starts 9th. Now, you pay dearly for any mistakes in this new format. Take Nick Heidfeld in the Williams and Juan Pablo Montoya in the McLaren. Two high-profile sufferers. There's a super climax. First, Melbourne winner Fisichella goes quickest by a full half a second. Then Trulli, the single-lap star in the lightly fueled Toyota, is the car in front with one to go. Fernando Alonso, the Spaniard, delivers brilliantly. It's his and Renault's pole. Mark Blundell has the full grid.
Fernando Alonso takes his 4th career pole position. Jarno Trulli's 2nd consecutive front row for Toyota. Giancarlo Fisichella in 3rd. Mark Webber makes big improvements in the Williams. Ralf Schumacher 5th. Kimi Raikkonen a little bit frustrated with his McLaren. 7th position goes to Clean. Very impressive performance out qualifying his more experienced teammate David Coulthard. Button there in 9th. Troubles for him. Heifeld in the Williams, 10th spot. 11th for Montoya, 5 spots down from Kimi Raikkonen. Barrichello, the first of the Ferraris. The current world champion, 13th. Massa, 14th, not particularly happy. 15th spot for Davison. This is a big opportunity for him. Pressure mounting on Villeneuve in 16th. Carter Cayenne is 17th. 18th for Montero. 19th and 20th goes to Frisacker and Albers in the Minardis.
Here we go then with the best of the Malaysian Grand Prix on ITV Sport with Martin Brundle and James Allen.
It's all to play for over 56 laps of this Sepang circuit. Where are the lights? Here they are. When they go out, we'll be racing in Malaysia. Are you ready? Go! Away goes Alonso from pole, but Trulli is away nicely as well. Fisichella will not be able to get him. Alonso comes across gently. Look at the Ferraris. Barrichello has a go around the outside of the Williams. and into turn one they go, and they're in as they started the Grand Prix. But in midfield, there's a lot of changes.
And remember, in turn two, they tend to Constantina. Will they get through today? Yes, they have. I think Coulthard had a good start. I think Anthony Davidson had a very poor start towards the back of the field, unfortunately. But at the moment, it's Alonso, Trulli, Fisichella.
And it looks as though Montoya and Barrichello touched on the way out of three. Raikkonen is well up, Button is challenging him. Now Barrichello, Michael Schumacher behind Felipe Massa down in 14th and 15th places. Ferrari have not had a good opening to this Grand Prix so far. You can see the Williams there duking it out with Massa Sauber, with the Red Bull, I beg your pardon, of Klein. So it's all going up in midfield.
It was Heidfeld and Coulthard, I think, were jockeying for position. So Heidfeld, let's work out if it was him or whether it was Webber falling back. We'll have to keep an eye on that. I think, and there comes Raikkonen through past Barrichello, sorry, Montoya past Barrichello, all happening back there.
Certainly is. Alonso leads, Trulli second, Fisichella third, fourth is Webber, fifth is Ralf Schumacher, sixth Raikkonen, seventh is Button, eighth David Coulthard, ninth Nick Heidfeld. Klein has dropped back 2 places behind his teammate David Coulthard, so a poor opening lap for Christian Klein. Montoya and Barrichello, though, there's an awful lot of action going on between those two. They're battling it out for 11th place. Michael Schumacher 14th and Anthony Davidson 16th at the moment.
Yeah, it was Heidfeld and Coulthard in turns 5 and 6 that were having a good battle. Heidfeld with a great start.
Certainly was. So across the line first time round, 0.8 of a second. Then look at this battle here coming down the straight between Jenson Button trying to get past Kimi Raikkonen. That's a pass for 6th place, and it looked pretty easy for Button, who's obviously carrying perhaps a little bit less fuel than Raikkonen. And certainly everyone believing that the McLaren is going to run quite long into this Grand Prix, but Raikkonen didn't try too hard to defend that. Once he'd made the move across to the pit wall, he didn't make another one.
Yeah, much tidier first lap than we've often seen here in Sepang. I think it's this sort of afternoon mindset, right? Let's look at the whole Grand Prix with one set of tyres, and we've got to get these cars through. Let's not trip over somebody in the first corner. I think even subconsciously there's a different mentality to going racing. But Alonso then just romping away at the front and truly building himself a gap back to Fisichella. Webber 4th, Ralf Schumacher 5th, Raikkonen 6th. Now that dropped down, didn't it, when Button passed him. Computer a bit behind the game here at the moment.
Yeah, certainly. And hearing from inside Renault, there is Anthony Davidson. He is behind Jacques Villeneuve, which I think 1 or 2 drivers from Melbourne will tell you is not a great place to be. Although obviously Villeneuve this weekend, circumstances different. He's hoping for a much more competitive performance from his Sauber on the Michelin tyres. Davidson there. 1 or 2 voices, Martin, from inside Renault saying that apparently this weekend Fisichella has been obsessed with the engine, the fact that this is the 2nd Grand Prix on this engine. He's been very careful, he's been upshifting a little bit earlier, he's not wanted to hammer the throttle quite as hard. They've tried to tell him it doesn't really make any difference, and he's not going to make any difference to Alonso, but he feels that by protecting the car, he's going to have an advantage here this afternoon. Obviously, time will tell.
Yeah, and he said in the briefing, as soon as I pressed the throttle, I thought, oh, it hasn't got as much power, and you're right, I think he's been overly concerned about that as the Jordan of Katakaan.
That's Button. Button has had a spin, and he's now in front of Michael Schumacher, so Button has dropped down.
He's got a problem.
Rubens, I beg your pardon. He's dropped down to 12th place. His engine looks like it's going to let go. There has been a question mark about that all weekend, and an oil leak yesterday morning, which lost him an awful lot of time. So the first engine of this race to go, and that looks like one of the 2 Minardis. It's Freisacker. He took an engine change going into this Grand Prix, but obviously Button may well have considered that he should have done the same thing. There were question marks about Jensen's engine, and it's let him down, it seems, on lap 3.
It looked like Jensen was recovering from something, and maybe he's spilling some oil down there as well, which has helped the Minardi exit the racetrack. But Alonso's lead was 1.2. But look at this, Michael Schumacher back in 14th. They're on lap 3. He's 14 seconds. And that's Davidson as well. It's the 2nd BAR with an engine problem. So it looks like we've lost both of them. At the moment, Button's 11 seconds slow in the first sector 2, cruising already. So both BAR Hondas, one out of the race and one, I suspect, about to be. Here's a replay of the start. You can see at the back the Jordan ducking around the slow starting Davidson. And at the front, it's line astern for the 2 Renaults, truly holding his own. And a good scrap, left middle of your picture. I think it was Coulthard, Montoya and co on board then with Ralf Schumacher, and that's Mark Webber to our right. And let's see what happens. I didn't watch him first time around. neat and tidy. Webber claims rightfully the inside line, and it's getting very tight in the middle of the pack, wasn't it? What's Montoya up to? He's back in 10th. He lapped, he's 2 seconds a lap off the pace. Michael Schumacher, lap 6, or the end of lap 5 actually, 21.5 seconds adrift. He's just cruising for the afternoon. He's making a point to that team, James, because that's just incredibly off the pace. He's going to be lapped comfortably if they just push on ahead at the front. I'm told they may not bring or even try to bring the new Ferrari to Bahrain and take the risks of a new car, because they think their problem is their tyres are just not in the zone at the moment, and it depends on temperature and type of track conditions and surfaces. And that's the news I got just 5 minutes before coming to the comm box.
Look at this. There he is attacking Kimi Räikkönen. That's the battle for 6th place. Eidfeld's on the move in this Grand Prix. Well, I mentioned a moment ago we'd lost Anthony Davidson. Louise Goodman, he must be gutted.
I think he is, James. Anthony, huge disappointment for the team, but massive, massive disappointment for you.
Yeah, obviously it's a shame for the team, you know, but that's what these new engine regulations are for, is to make it tough. And it is. I think this is going to definitely be a race of attrition, and I think you'll definitely see a few more cars go out.
Jason, this was always going to be a tough race for the engines, but I guess you're expected to get a bit further than that.
Yeah, I mean, engineering an engine to do 3 laps is not hard. It's the whole race, and, you know, compared to last year, we've made a huge step back in every area, it looks like, at the moment.
Do you think this is a repeat of the problem that you had yesterday?
I think it's a good possibility. You know, I had oil on the rear tyres, that's why I spun off, and but it's just not good enough because we're quick. That's the annoying thing, you know.
Into the pits comes the race leader on lap 21.
Didn't really attack that speed line, but he's got a cushion. He doesn't need to take risks, and Ted is down there.
Indeed, and the Renault boys are waiting for him. They've got the pressure adjusters. They take the dust caps on, put the pressure adjusters on. It's just like in your garage forecourt, exactly the same. Good stop. The fuel hose comes off. Oh, that's very close with the Jordan on the exit for Alonso.
Yeah, we saw that. The Jordan just in front. They very nearly hit. Trulli is in as well. And look at him, he's feeling really racy. He's got the tyres pointed back out to the pit lane. He wants to get on with this one this afternoon. He's really in the mood for it. Michael Schumacher hasn't stopped yet. He is in 9th place behind his brother, who has stopped. That's not good news for Michael Schumacher. It is good news for Rubens Barrichello, though. He's got Juan Montoya, who's yet to make a pit stop in front of him, and then Jarno Trulli. So it looks like Barrichello's been making some progress. Michael Schumacher's struggling to make progress once again this afternoon. And we haven't seen the leader again. We believe it to be Kimi Räikkönen, with Fernando Alonso 3.5 seconds behind him now on lap 23. I can see McLaren mechanics, I believe, out in the pit lane.
Yes.
And Montoya comes into the pits from 5th place.
Yeah, but look at Räikkönen's just put in a new fastest lap of the race by some 0.4 of a second. From doing mid to late 36, he's done a low 35. Where did he pull that one out of the bag from? Räikkönen definitely hauling himself up into podium contention, and I think Montoya's a bit too far back for that. We'll find out as this race unfolds.
Yeah, the reason Montoya is too far back, he made mistakes in yesterday's qualifying session and again today's qualifying session. So a few niggly errors for Montoya have put him behind his teammate. He started in 11th place on the grid with Räikkönen up in 7th. So that'll be annoying to him for sure, because Räikkönen's definitely a podium candidate here this afternoon. Depends look at this though. Great battle here between the Ferrari of Rubens Barrichello and the Williams of Mark Webber. This is the scrap for 6th place.
But this is an important phase. Barrichello with the much lighter Ferrari now. He's on a different strategy altogether, a longer haul, and he knows he can't afford to lose time as Webber gets back up to speed with a heavy fuel load, getting all racy. There's no way through though at turns 5 and 6 where he was. There just isn't really a braking zone there to make the difference.
Well, the Ferrari technical director Ross Brawn, as McLaren get ready for Räikkönen, he's into the pits. He told me that one of the problems, Martin, with coming into the pits here, there's a lot of dirt on the pit apron. It gets on your tyres, and when you go out, it sticks to it. The grip doesn't come back for a little while. A few little adjustments. Any sign of anything much?
Yeah, bit of front wing. We don't know if it goes up and down when they do that, but I suspect as the race unfolds, they're all starting to struggle with oversteer, the back end of the car sliding. Is that
Fisichella.
So I see a yellow flag.
So he's done it, Kimi Raikkonen has jumped Mark Webber. That's what he wanted to do by running long in the first stint, and he's also jumped Ralf Schumacher as well. Barrichello's got in front of Ralf Schumacher as Michael Schumacher pits. Not particularly late into this Grand Prix. Not a particularly large amount of fuel going in. He's 2 stopping this afternoon, and he's not in this race at all. He was 30 seconds behind the race leader before he made that stop.
I'm told from the pit lane that Raikkonen put more front wing on, and therefore, just to give him a bit more on the nose, reduce the amount of understeer. We haven't seen much of his car, so I don't really know what the balance looked like, although, of course, it's what it feels like that matters. And that is Raikkonen off the track, and he's got a right rear puncture. He is now allowed to change that under the regulations, but he can't refuel at the same time, but he doesn't really need to. He's just been in the pits. That's compromised. Well, that's wrecked his afternoon, hasn't it? Especially if that comes off the rim and starts damaging the bodywork. You've got to sort of be so careful that you don't really want to hurry up too much. Look, smoking away. It looks like he's near enough to the pitch to get away with it.
I don't think he is. He's just finished sector 2. It happened in the first sector, and so this is a very expensive problem for Kimi Raikkonen. Juan Montoya goes past him. He was in 10th place. That's how much Raikkonen has lost. I was talking about the rubbish and bits and pieces in the pit lane. I wonder if that had anything to do with this, because certainly there was a feeling it would pick up on the tyres, and it takes a while for the grip to come back again once you come out of a pit stop. Here comes Rubens Barrichello, a very feisty stint for him, and he comes in from 6th place.
Yes, it is. I wonder if Raikkonen can get all the way back without the sidewalls. But when the tyre drags like that, it just heats up massively, and then you get separation between the tread and the side. Well, there it is. He's just getting to that phase now. He's got to push, really, otherwise he's out of the... No, he has lost the carcass of the tyre. Is he going to do any damage to the bodywork? He might just get away with this, but those flailing bits start nibbling away at your rear wing. He's just going to make it. Trouble is, when you get there, you've got no brakes. All the weight distribution of the car is completely out of kilter. Ted is receiving him.
He's coming towards me. If it is a puncture, it must have happened just as he left the pit lane, because they looked at the tyres at the pit stop and they were all fine. So they take off the damaged wheel. They're having a look at it, see if it's okay. I think it is. They put the wheel on. The new tyre is from yesterday's practice. Kimi gets away. There's a bit of damage to the floor just before the rear tyre, but not enough to get him out of the race.
Yes, and they have to put a tyre on that has done as much, if not more, mileage, if they've got them, than the tyre that they took off, is my understanding. But Raikkonen then back into the race, and there he goes. And it obviously spat him off the road, didn't it, when the tyre let go in a high-speed corner. And I tell you, there goes the carcass then, and it's right onto the racing line as well.
And that's Jacques Villeneuve off the track here. Jacques Villeneuve in the Sauber. He's had a tough start to 2005. It just got tougher. It looks like he's gone off backwards.
Yeah, he's in the braking zone down at turn 1. And waved yellow flags there to protect the marshals. No overtaking for anybody else coming down that pit straight. Jacques Villeneuve's car's beached. The question is that his career beached, James? He's under a lot of pressure.
Certainly is. An engineer, they're saying not a lot to do there. I think that's pretty obvious to everybody. Can't get out of that gravel trap. Here's another look at what happened, Martin.
Well, it's all neat and tidy, approaching the braking zone. Just snatches the back end loose on downshift, braking quite heavily. Overcorrects the car, gets into a tank slapper and buried in the gravel.
Well, braking has been the problem for Villeneuve. He's admitted it. He just doesn't like the braking system on this Sauber, and it's certainly caught him out. Look at the baggy overalls, the trademark baggy overalls. Look how much sweat they've soaked up.
Villeneuve hasn't said anything to his team either. He just acknowledged that he'd spun the car and he's parking it, but they tell me that he has had problem under braking at that point all weekend.
Yeah, just all the forces work together. The car snatches sideways. As I say, I think he just actually overcorrected it as much as anything. Coulthard losing out quite bad. He got out of the car in Melbourne and said, I'm sure there were 6 Jordans out there. I seem to keep passing them all afternoon. But they're trying to recover the carcass of the right rear of Kimi Raikkonen that failed on him just after his pit stop and really put him out of contention. He's still down in 13th place now 86.6 seconds and not lapping particularly quickly. That's taken the wind out of his sails, James.
He certainly has. Clean then closing up behind teammate Coulthard. He's less than a second behind him. Coulthard battling with Rubens Barrichello. That's for the final point of the afternoon in 8th place. Here's Michael Schumacher scything past Narain Carter Cayen's Jordan. Schumacher is down in 11th place, a full 1 minute behind race leader Alonso. So echoes, as you said earlier, of the Hungarian Grand Prix of 2003, where Alonso romped away and Michael Schumacher was lapped by the race leader winner Alonso. I wonder if that'll happen here this afternoon. Long way to go still.
Down at Renault, Fisichella has got massive oversteer problems. He's saying he just can't commit the car in the high-speed corners. The back end keeps snapping away. He has no confidence in the car in the high-speed corners round the back turns 12, 13 and 14, and he's just losing bags of time. Be sure to see that they will take some pressure out of those tyres in the next pit stop.
Yeah, they did some in the first. Of course, they asked him if he wanted a bit out of the tyres and also changing the front balance aerodynamically by 0.4 or 0.6, which he didn't fully answer. And wow, Webber getting very racy there and slightly impatient, because now they're all being held up with Fisichella's Paul Griffin pace. Webber's front tyre, in fact all the Michelin front tyres have got 2 or 3 lines, and look, he's coming under pressure from Ralf Schumacher, who's gone right up the inside. They touch wheels, bits and pieces falling off, and Webber retakes the position. And look who's going through there. Heidfeld. Did Heidfeld make it? He certainly made it past Ralf Schumacher. Now he's right behind his teammate.
He's having a go down the run to the first corner. He's got him. Webber tries to resist. Nick Heidfeld, is he going to make it stick? Webber is not having any of it. That's a very angry Aussie in that cockpit. He doesn't like what Ralf Schumacher did to him into the final corner. Webber fights back. Ralf Schumacher goes past Heidfeld. Heidfeld has found himself in the middle of a dogfight.
Good driving there, brilliant driving by everybody. The Williams guys will be going mad in the pits because they just compromised themselves. And now Heidfeld's gone steaming up the inside. Can he keep it on the outside of the track? Yes, he does. And Ralf Schumacher, from a barging session with Webber, ends up falling back behind Heidfeld too, who's having a great race.
Great racing here at Sepang, absolutely from nowhere. Suddenly, these two, Webber and Ralf Schumacher were catching Fisichella. They were all thinking about how they were going to get past him. While Webber was thinking about that, Ralf Schumacher ran up the inside of him into the final corner. And let's not forget, these two touched here last year, so there's quite a bit of history. Let's take another look at it.
Yeah, Ralf Schumacher was always running into other Williams when he was a Williams driver. Him and Montoya, of course. Look at that, it just drifted, four-wheel drifted into the side of him. And Webber did the smart thing, just kept the car straight. And this is now down at turn 1, where Webber and Heidfeld started to squabble, and that allowed Ralf back through. The Williams really running nicely in this race.
Incident with the two Williams drivers and Ralf Schumacher has allowed a little breathing space for Giancarlo Fisichella in 3rd place. He's now got 2.5 seconds advantage over Mark Webber, so he'll use that to have a little breather, but he knows they'll be back again soon. Doesn't seem to be any damage to Webber's car as a result of that contact with Ralf Schumacher. We'll keep an eye out for that. We're looking though at Barrichello, final points position in 8th place at the moment. He's got Juan Montoya in front of him in 7th. One of the Red Bulls going down the outside of him. He's got him. David Coulthard passes Rubens Barrichello. Can Clean get past as well? Barrichello struggling with the car at this stage. Yeah, Barrichello went wide in turn 4 and DC punished him around the outside. Otherwise, I think he was going to have to get rude anytime soon, because if he wants points, he's just going to have to start muscling his way through, as Ralf Schumacher did. Luckily for him, and young Clean coming down the inside, and he's easily getting the gong for most improved driver of 2005, isn't he? Christian Clean. And realised just at the right moment it wasn't going to work and did something about it. But Barrichello under siege then, and that releases Coulthard. It's given a little bit of breathing space. Coulthard's already got in front of Rubens. That's how much he's struggling. And now I can see a situation coming along where Rubens is going to be, normally it's for 1st and 2nd, we're used to saying this, but Rubens is going to have to be moved out of the way and not hold Michael up if they want to score some points. And Clean then, Rubens really almost didn't bother to fight that, did he? He knew it was inevitable. He's got no pace. The message of this race will be winging its way back to Italy and over to Japan, where Bridgestone are based. Ferrari and Bridgestone have got some problems here in the hot climate of Malaysia. Barrichello, though, having another little look back at Clean, more out of pride than anything else. Clean seems to have the pace to resist. Yes, he does through 1 and 2, but have a little bit of a wobble there for Clean. Has that allowed Barrichello a sniff of it? Good dogfight here. Barrichello, a good racer. Michael Schumacher, look how much trouble he's having getting his car to go around the corners with Felipe Massa right behind him.
Yeah, Michael Schumacher, the meat in a Brazilian driver sandwich at the moment. And none of them really with any kind of sparkling pace. Barrichello did a 1:41 compared to the leader on a 1:36 last time around. The pair of them are 70 seconds off the lead now. And the next man to pass him will be Michael Schumacher, and it's a no-brainer. He should just let him go through. And this will be Coulthard, a replay of Coulthard passing Rubens, who gets out of shape under braking. Coulthard with the balance and grip just to duck inside of him. Watch this. This is Webber's gone through up into third place. We're on board with Nick Heidfeld, who's fifth, and he just watched the move. And looks like Fisichella's going to have another run down the outside and into turn 14 at the hairpin. And will Webber have his second contact there? He will. And Webber is out. So is Fisichella, probably. Webber out of the Grand Prix. Heidfeld will go through. Has Fisichella kept the engine running? No. The steering wheel comes off. And finally then, Mark Webber runs out of luck in that final turn, right in the pit entry. There was a lot of rubbish down from Kimi Raikkonen's puncture earlier in the race, and Flavio Briatore choosing to use some English words there instead of Italian ones to describe his dissatisfaction. And that would have come down to earth with quite a bump for Fizzy. And well, we'll have to see a replay, but I thought it seemed fair enough to come up the inside and have a look.
Well, Webber walked over to where Fisichella was, but Fisichella ran away from him, and this is why.
Yeah, well, Mark braked very late on the outside, but Fizzy's locked his wheels and did a Ralph on him, and Mark kind of put his car in a dangerous place there, you have to say, by steaming down the outside. He might have been better. Look at all the rubbish on the track, and Fizzy's gone in too hot, drifts into the side of Webber, and it's difficult to pin blame on that. I think Mark put his car in a dangerous position and didn't allow for any margin. He knew he was squeezing Fisichella and didn't allow him any room just in case. And I think Mark will look at that and wish he'd have done something different, and that incident is going to be investigated quite clearly. They're not bothering to discuss it amongst themselves.
Well, it's cost both of them the chance of a podium. You'd have to say Mark Webber looked the better chance of the podium, with Fisichella clearly struggling with the rear end of that car. Webber in good shape. It's cost him his first ever podium. Now Heidfeld has that opportunity.
But what about Fisichella's World Championship, yeah? 10 points from the first round. Today he needed 6 or 8 or something just to keep himself up there, and it's opened the door massively for Fernando Alonso.
Well, here we are then. Jarno Trulli coming through to put a lap on Rubens Barrichello. He's already been lapped by Fernando Alonso. And who would have thought this? A Toyota laps a Ferrari in the second Grand Prix of the 2005 season. Toyota look as though they've got the speed. They faded, well, Trulli faded in Melbourne after the first round of pit stops, but here he's right on the money. 17 seconds behind Alonso, albeit, yes, but he's lapping at a good pace, and he's keeping Heidfeld at the moment 20 seconds behind him as the race leader pits on lap 41. Ted Kravitz.
It looks like they're going to make an adjustment to the front wing on this one. Yes, it looks like just a small turn of more front wing on there to help balance out the car. No massive pressure increases or decreases there. Good stop for Renault, good for Alonso.
Situation under control at Renault for one of the drivers very much. Flavio Briatore calm. His man still leading the Grand Prix. Back out on track he goes. Fernando Alonso, fuel to the finish, just 16 laps to go. Well, Toyota are getting ready for one of their 2 drivers. It is Ralf Schumacher. In he comes. Montoya takes that position. This is where Montoya's going to start putting the hammer down now. He knows about it. He's done a 1:36.6. He knows going on to the Toyota there, Ralf Schumacher.
I suspect that was after he had that contact with Webber in the final turn earlier on. There were definitely 1 or 2 pieces flicking around, wasn't there? So Ralf clearly lost some pace and balance. Coulthard's pitted from 6th place. Klein had already pitted in the other Red Bull. That puts Michael Schumacher up momentarily. He's now lapping in the 1:36s. Just plodding around really, but he looks like he's going to score a point or 2.
Well, last time round, Montoya pitted 3 laps after Ralf Schumacher. Took on about the same amount of fuel, so this is where he's got to do the damage. Montoya, if he wants to try and grab 4th place here this afternoon. In comes man who was leading the race briefly after Alonso made the pit stop, Jarno Trulli. That will allow Alonso back into the lead again of this Grand Prix. Heidfeld and Montoya, the Williams is currently in third and fourth, yet to make their second stops, as in comes Trulli. Having a strong afternoon, Jarno Trulli. Everything fairly businesslike. Toyota coming of age here. Second on the grid in Australia and again here in Malaysia. Into the pits comes current third place man, Nick Heidfeld. He's been on the podium before with the Sauber team back in Brazil a couple of years ago. Long fuel stop, neat and tidy, back into business. There is Montoya making his stop. He was in third place. Now what's going to happen? Where does he come feeding back out again relative to Ralf Schumacher? That is the big question. Here he comes out of the pit lane. There is a Toyota going down to turn one. That Toyota is Ralf Schumacher, and Montoya has jumped in for fourth place.
Michael Schumacher pits from P6. That'll release the Red Bull of Coulthard and Clean back up to 6th and 7th. But Michael is heading for a World Championship point.
There you get to see a nice slow-mo of it. See all the winglets, all the little devices, these chimneys on the side here for letting the heat out. Look at the mark on the centre of his tyre there, the wear on that front right Michelin tyre. Beautifully sculpted side pods. All these aerodynamic devices all trying to find a little bit more downforce. We're riding on board with Kimi Raikkonen, who's down in 10th place. He was a podium contender at one point. There is Felipe Massa going defensive in front of him in the Sauber, down into 14. Didn't work, got dirt on his tyres, I think, Martin, and he's run wide.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I think Mark Webber should have done when I was trying to explain how I think he should have not exposed himself, exposed his car in front of Fisichella earlier. I had a feeling that was all going to end in tears, though I didn't knew that scrap earlier on, but Raikkonen just bided his time there, pushed the guy up the inside and waited for him to fail to slow down on the really slippery stuff.
Yeah, very unfortunate incident between Fisichella.
Don't forget to drink, Felipe, drink, don't forget to drink.
Little message there for Felipe Massa. Didn't quite catch what he said, something to do with a drink. Don't forget to take a drink. Here's another look. Offline then, Massa.
Yeah, Massa busy offline and watching Raikkonen, I suspect, and just opens the door for him. Like most racing drivers, I'm half deaf, so I can't really fully hear these radio stuff they're putting across. But Massa then just making it very easy for him. Here's another line. Raikkonen committed very early to the racing line, and that left Massa wondering where he was.
If you're looking at all that debris down that back straight into the corner, that debris from Kimi Raikkonen's car, he had a massive blowout about 10 or 15 laps ago that took him out of podium contention. And well, the bits are still all the way down that straight. Most of the carcass of the tyre has now been cleared away, but it certainly played a role this afternoon. It played a role in the Fisichella and Webber battle. Here's your race leader, Fernando Alonso. Jarno Trulli started second, he's still second. Nick Heidfeld started this Grand Prix in 10th place, and he is up now on a podium position in third. Juan Montoya, he started this Grand Prix in 11th, and he has managed to jump Ralf Schumacher as, of course, of the second pit stops. He's now into fourth place. Ralf Schumacher is fifth, which is where he started this Grand Prix, and David Coulthard is up into sixth place. Michael Schumacher has finally made some progress. He's seventh in the Ferrari, but at least it'll get Schumacher off the mark because he didn't score any points in Australia. Race leader Fernando Alonso has a good advantage over Jarno Trulli, almost 18 seconds now, with Nick Heidfeld in third place and Juan Montoya in fourth. It's been an interesting afternoon. Positions 1 and 2 in this race more or less locked out from the start, with Alonso leading from pole, Trulli from the front row as well following behind him. But it's been a good battle all afternoon for the final podium position. A lot of contenders for that. Nick Heidfeld, one of them. Rubens Barrichello there. Just look at the tyres on that car. Rubens Barrichello pitting and retiring from this Grand Prix. So that's very bad news for him. Well, he's definitely out of this race, but as I say, it's been a good scrap for third place in the Grand Prix. Kimi Raikkonen was an early candidate for that, started sixth on the grid, but with a slightly longer fuel load at the opening stint, put himself into contention, but then got a tyre blowout, a spectacular one, just after his pit stop that put paid to any chance of third place here this afternoon. Mark Webber, Giancarlo Fisichella and Nick Heidfeld were duking it out for third as Barrichello there in the Ferrari garage taking his helmet off. A disappointing afternoon for him and the Ferrari team.
Giancarlo, no fairy tale ending this weekend.
Yeah, but weekend. Unfortunately, the car wasn't fantastic. The grip was not enough. I was struggling a bit, but third was okay for me. Then I lost a bargeboard in one of the curbs, and I lost lots of downforce. I lost a couple of seconds per lap. Marco was catching me. That was normal. He overtook me before the last corner. Then just after, I overtook him again. I was ahead. In the last corner, I went through to the corner, and I saw him coming from the outside, but there was no possibility for him to overtake me, and for me there was no space enough, and we had the accident.
His fault, your fault, or just one of those things?
It's not my fault.
Mark, Giancarlo says not his fault. What do you say?
Well, I don't know how he was going to repass me again. His tyres were absolutely finished, and I passed him, I think, fair and square at 14. Which is not easy to get in there, but I managed to get in there, and then I thought, yeah, of course, he's going to be my slipstream along the straight, but, you know, where can I go? It's so wide, so he come down the inside. There was zero grip down the inside. It's very dirty, so I went back to the braking on the clean line, and he comes straight in the side. He braked very late on the inside on the dirty line, so I don't know how he was ever going to stop better than me, because he had no tyres, and he was on the dirty side.
There you go then, that's the top 8 on the final lap. Been an eventful afternoon, the hottest and hardest Grand Prix of the year. The drivers have withstood it. The track temperature is still right up there, 47 degrees. The air temperature, 34. They'll have lost best part of half a stone in body weight. Over 4 litres of fluids will have gone out, and all they'll have been able to put back during the race from their little drinks bottle in the car is about a litre, which after a couple of laps will be as hot as the hottest cup of tea you've ever tasted. So it's been a tough afternoon for everybody, but some stunning performances, not least from this man.
I bet most of the drinks bottles are at least half full. You just have it there. It's I don't know what it is. It's a psychological thing. Actually getting fluid into your body when you're driving a Formula 1 car is nearly impossible to do it without choking yourself, and most of the systems don't really work that well. It's your body system that really struggles to cope with drinking while you're under so much load inside the car.
He can almost get out and push it home. He's got 23 seconds lead over Jarno Trulli. This young man's date with destiny is right here, right now. He started this race 2 years ago from pole position. Got a podium that day, but that was the best he could do. He's come here with the best car in Formula 1 at the moment, and he has won the Malaysian Grand Prix, and he thoroughly deserves it.
Come on, guys. You are number 1. You are number 1, guys.
You are indeed number 1.
You are the best. You are the best. We show everybody again. Good job. Good weekend. Thank you so much.
World champion-elect, speaking on the radio there.
A little bit early to say, who knows, but he's certainly a contender. And look at this, the first podium in Formula 1 for Toyota. Fantastic effort from Jarno Trulli. And there is Nick Heidfeld. That's great for him on his first year with BMW Williams. And nothing to choose between Michael Schumacher, Klein and Raikkonen. Look, waiting to see them come out of the final corner. We're looking at Flavio Briatore as Montoya crosses the line 4th. But what about Ralf Schumacher? He is in 5th place, waiting for see him come through. It's been a hard-working afternoon for Flavio, judging by his shirt. And here we go. This is the scrap. Michael Schumacher, Klein behind him. Raikkonen just right behind Klein as well. There you can see the 3 of them. Can any of them do anything?
I think Raikkonen's just a touch too far behind. The Red Bull not been too shabby on straight line speed, and I don't think Raikkonen's got a chance, and that's how it's going to end. Michael Schumacher, Coulthard has finished 6th, Schumacher will be 7th, and Klein then's going to snatch a point one more time, holding Kimi Raikkonen off at the end of the Grand Prix. Raikkonen after that puncture then with nothing to take home from actually a very good drive in 9th place.
Fisichella in Oz. Alonso in KL. Renault are the class of the field so far. We'll be right back talking to some of the drivers, and there's Mark Blundell's verdict of a thrilling Malaysian Grand Prix. You're back with us in Sepang, just south of Kuala Lumpur, where the hottest race of the year, the Malaysian Grand Prix, provided a perfect weekend for Fernando Alonso, the 23-year-old Spaniard, on pole and number 1 in the race. Jarno Trulli, first podium for Toyota. Goodness me, they needed that. Nick Heidfeld, his first podium for Williams. Montoya, steady job in the McLaren. Ralf Schumacher, the 2nd Toyota home. David Coulthard overtakes Nigel Mansell as the top point scorer for Britain in Formula One history. Michael Schumacher, just 2 points all season. Christian Klein making his point for Red Bull Racing. Another good day for the lively new team. We have Alonso up front after 2 rounds, 16 points. Teammate Fisichella second, the only other man into double figures. Then Trulli, Rubens Barrichello, Montoya, Coulthard, all on 8 points. Heidfeld has 6. Mark Webber and Ralf Schumacher both have 4. Fernando's man, though.
Well, Pat, congratulations, 2 out of 2. Are these two just going to keep flip-flopping all year?
Wouldn't it be nice to think so? No, I don't think we can expect that. We've had 2 great races, we've got a great car, we've got a great team, and the drivers are contributing a lot. But yeah, it's going to be a long, hard year. We're going to be right there, that's for sure, but they're not going to keep doing it. I really hope they do, but let's see.
It's just like a victory because it's the first podium for Toyota, for those guys which has been working so hard over these days, over the past years. Not great results in the past, and now me and Ralph, we are showing good progress, and it's all about working and being strong.
People said after Melbourne it was Jarno dropping off the pace. Well, he showed what he can do here, and you know, I'm very pleased with the guy. He's a fantastic guy, and it's just a great effort from him and the whole team.
I think it was one of my best races because I started from 10th position. It was clear that I had to make a good start. I was very happy to get ahead of the 2 Red Bulls, who are good, but they already held us up in Melbourne. Then I was stuck behind Kimi and had another few nice fights, overtaking Ralf and yeah, just pushing hard really all the time in the first 2 stints.
What do you take away from this weekend?
That we've got a lot of work to do. Sometimes you eat the wolf and sometimes the wolf eats you, and today we've been eaten.
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, you sit there in the back and you see whatever P13, P for quite a while, and nothing seems to move on. And then slowly, slowly you move forward. But tough race.
Fernando, fantastic race. Congratulations. Was it all plain sailing out there?
Yeah, everything was okay, and you know, I had 2 races very different. One in Australia attacking from the back, one in Malaysia controlling from the front, and both works very well for me with no mistakes and very quick. So you know, for me it's unbelievable. This is the start of the championship.
This year's world champion Renault certainly thinks so. Not such a good day for Jenson Button. Looked very lively early on, but all those worries about the engine then proved justified.
Well, you know, Jenson was actually quite happy with the balance of his car, and he felt very racy come the morning of the Grand Prix. He knew that he had something underneath him to work with. As you see here he goes straight underneath Kimi Raikkonen. Kimi looks there and says, well, what are you doing there? But it's a smooth manoeuvre, as we've expected from Jenson. But this is the problem that he's had. Engine problems all weekend long, terminate his race very early on.
He looked very angry when we saw him soon after in that BAR garage.
Well, as you would expect. I mean, he deserves to have a car underneath him and an engine from a Honda, and they're not quite giving him that yet.
You made the point what a wonderful opportunity this was for Anthony Davidson. Cruel luck for the young man from Hemel Hempstead.
Yeah, it's a great shame. I think Anthony could have really had a showcase today where he could have maybe got himself a Grand Prix drive for good in the future. But unfortunately, another engine let him go. This situation is something you've got to deal with as a racing driver. He'd have known about this in early formulas, but when you get your break in F1, you really deserve it.
Let's just hope he does get another chance somewhere. We wondered about the engines. We've seen a couple go there. We wondered about the tyres, and Kimi Raikkonen experienced it at first hand.
Kimi was really unfortunate. I think he may have even picked up a puncture or so, because as we see, coming down here, he's off the road already. The right rear of the car is on the ground, and there's no tyre on the rim. The carcass just lets go. Look at it accelerate off the car. And there's nothing you can do as a driver at this stage. You just got to try and carry it round and get back to the pits as quickly as possible.
Now then, we love close racing. We love teammates battling against each other. We had a marvellous 3-way tussle in this race that people will remember for a very long time.
Sensational. And that's what motor racing is all about, and something that you expect as a Grand Prix driver to be involved with. And this is how it starts. Ralf Schumacher dives underneath Mark Webber. They collide. Webber just tucks himself back up the inside again. Ralf runs wide, but this is another guy comes into play. The Williams teammate to Webber, Nick Heidfeld. He puts himself now behind Webber, slipstreams him, makes the move here. It's clean. Then he comes across him, doesn't want to give him any room whatsoever. Just overcooks it slightly. Webber slides back up the inside, and Ralf comes back into the corner again, up the inside of the pair of them. Slips himself in between, a Williams sandwich. I think at the end of all of this, the Ralf Schumacher scenario is that he's got his mirrors full of blue and white cars, and it's a tough one for all of them out there.
Williams would have been very, very worried indeed. We say more of it, and thanks very much for the entertainment. And what about the clash, Webber and Fisichella? We believe no action will be taken about it, but people love to say, whose fault was it? Or was it just a racing accident?
I think it's a classic racing incident. I think when you really go into it now, and we watch this situation here, Giancarlo Fisichella has got a rough time with tyre wear. He comes down the inside, he actually just gets the rear of his car loose, runs into Webber. Webber just maintains his line, and they collide and they climb over each other. Watch it now, Jim. Fisichella there on the right-hand side. Webber is on the racing line, starts to position himself for a late braker manoeuvre. Fisichella actually just starts to go in a little bit deep, locks his front left tyre. The rear of the car breaks away, they connect, and then at this point they just climb over the front of each other's cars. It's one of those situations. I don't think anybody's at fault. I think at the end of the day, these two guys obviously not very happy here. They're not going to talk to each other. They're going to go away, look at it on VT, and then come back and say problems.
He knows he could have been on the podium. A word from you about our winner, Fernando Alonso?
I do think that this guy could be the world champion of the future. Maybe not this year, but certainly in the future.
And Toyota will say thank you very much to Jarno Trulli.
Biggest surprise of the weekend for me. Great job.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. Let's take a check on how things look in the Constructors' Championship with 2 rounds of 19 gone. Renault are away, 26 points. Toyota second place. That'll make very good reading for that team on 12. Red Bull Racing in third. You've got long odds on those 3 being up front after 2 races. Ferrari fourth on 10, level with Williams. McLaren have 9, and the other teams yet to register a point. Our team report now from James Allen.
Tricky weekend again for Ferrari. I think they'll be asking some questions about the Bridgestone tyres. BAR Honda, 2 expensive engine failures. Renault, they seem unstoppable at the moment, but Fisichella's handling problems here will give them some cause for concern. Williams, a very good race for them. New aerodynamic parts made the car quicker. Height felt outstanding. Webber had a podium chance today. McLaren Mercedes, they've got the race pace, but until they find the pace on single lap qualifying, they won't challenge the Renaults. Sauber, another weekend to forget for them. Villeneuve off into the kitty litter. Red Bull Racing, they've now scored as many points this season in 2 races as Jaguar Racing, what they used to be, got in the whole of last year. Toyota, well, it was a big payday for them. Trulli in second place. Ralf Schumacher competitive as well. Where can they go from here? And then Minardi and Jordan right at the back, off the pace. One interesting aspect of this is Minardi has a new car coming out at Imola. Will it push them ahead of the Jordans?
From racing in the tropics, we switch to the desert. The Bahrain Grand Prix is next for ITV Sport. You can see qualifying 1 at 10:30 on the Saturday morning. Our pre-race show starts at 11:40 Sunday morning. The highlights are around midnight. We go to Bahrain with a new World Championship leader, Fernando Alonso, wondering if Ferrari will unleash the new car for the fight back. Good night.